All right, I'm gonna do that again. We're gonna call the meeting to order. It's 5:30, still 5:33, like seven. This is the Waters Local School Council, July regular meeting. I'm gonna call the roll. Dan Morris, not here. Liz Chandler.
Here.
Jason Rieger.
Here.
Nathan Hunter.
Here.
Ryan Stockmaster.
Here.
Stuart Lang, I'm here. Katie Carey, not here. Kristen Quinn.
I'm here.
Eddie Dalish, not present. Ann Soto, not present.
She's on her way. She's coming.
Oh, Miss Soto?
Yeah.
Is coming? Okay, fantastic. Mark Williams.
Here.
Peter Rakowski.
Here.
And our student member, Jack McNally.
I'm right here.
Thank you. All right. Approval of agenda. I think everybody saw the agenda that I sent out last week. You have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda passes. Previous meetings, so we have the June 6th regular meeting still to approve and the July 11th organizational meeting. Kristen, as usual, got those out right away. Were there any concerns or revisions?
Other than one update from you a little while ago. No, I didn't see anything come in.
Is this another thing that you'll have to forward to Jack? I mean, minutes or look at it?
I'm sorry?
Will you need to forward that to Jack Finale, the meeting minutes? Is that another thing we'll have to do? Or
Yeah.
that's important,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
not a problem.
Great, so going forward, we'll make sure you
Thank you.
any motion to approve those two sets of minutes?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. We'll get those on the website. Well, next up is our public comment, our first public comment section for people that emailed in advance. I checked this morning, there were not any.
There were never as of a few minutes ago.
So we'll move on to new business. So Mr. Rakowski has a few budget items to approve. Would you like to talk through those?
Sure, I'll tell you the first one. So the Wilson Foundation kits for first grade, that's a continuation of the pilot that we started this past school year with kindergarten. So we'll have K1 next year. These kits, by the way, are kind of half consumable, half durable. So to replenish them next year, it'll only be about half the amount that's there. With that version of the student kits, you get some durable kits. We have less than 90 first graders, but we obviously want to have some extras. Purchasing these will make it much easier for teachers to be able to do the program with fidelity because there's going to be less preparation. And the program is designed to be used with them too. So to make sure that we're using it as effectively as possible, I really recommend getting these. The second item is additional RAS coach for next year. We'll have the budget to be able to do it. We're also going to have a lot more square footage to cover with the new playground space being there. So just trying to keep things as copacetic here in recess that they can be. It's never going to be, completely conflict and those sorts of things are always going to be going on, but to put it as best we can forward. And then just some additional funds for clerk support over the summer. We were able to get a lot of the registration stuff done through kickoff to kindergarten, but we just need some additional hours to be able to get people in with the start of school.
Are all of these items going to come out of internal accounts?
Yeah.
And then you cited an internal, this maybe for later, but you cited an internal accounts balance in your report. Is that less these items or?
That is not including these expenditures.
Okay. So this is going to take a pretty good chunk out of that.
It'll take a chunk out, but
but that's what it's for.
That's what it's for. Yeah, it doesn't do anybody.
Yeah, I just found we're not going to still have $65,000.
No, we'll have a little bit less, and then this week we'll probably start to push for this year's student fees. So then internal account balance will start to go back up.
Do we pay all the RAS money up front? I thought it was like half and half.
Well, this is just the approval for the year.
Right, but we're not, the money isn't all coming out.
I actually put it off to the very end of the year in case we have extra SVB that we can use and then push.
we're just approving it to be spent out of the
Just to be
general
spent,
accounts,
yeah,
just
so
so that
that they
it's taken
can-
care of.
Yeah, so that we can sign the contract and they can staff it.
Okay.
I guess I'm still.
So operates at 6 for the right of school coaches.
Yeah, 6 plus the in-kind coach that, so they usually like a trainee or an extra floater that they send around. Extra charge.
For Wilson, is there a consumable replenishment for kindergarten?
No, the kindergarten is a little bit less extensive of a program, so it's bigger in first grade. And then kindergarten, it's easier to do it without. It's not as material heavy. But that program is really going to help a lot of kids. For sure.
That's great. Does anybody else have questions or discussion on those budget items?
So you said you were gonna push that RAS to the end of the year if possible, contractually.
We're
paper-wise?
approving it now. We're approving it now.
Right, and then the payment
We don't pay it.
schedule you'll sort out later.
We pay it when they send it.
Yeah, we technically can't pay for services or goods that we haven't actually fully
Received.
received yet.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay,
And in relation to the budget, 56 is where we are right now for kindergarten. That's what who's enrolled so far.
Oh, for kindergartners?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably gonna go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not taking anybody off the lottery for kindergarten. That's 100. Well, there's 3 siblings in there off the lottery that we took, but other than that, that's pure neighborhood. We want to avoid a situation where we take some, offer spots off of the lottery and then all of a sudden we have like 106 kindergartners.
Yeah.
That's not going to be what we want. So we'll be conservative with it, especially because the rest of the enrollment looks about where we expected it to be. So we're not in a situation where we're going to fall short and we're going to take money back on the 10th day or something.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve these 3 budget items as stated on the agenda?
I'd propose we approve Wilson, RAS, and the clerk support.
Second.
Let's do a roll call because it's a budget item. Let's go around the table. Stuart Lang, aye. Nathan Hunter. Aye. Jack, I believe you don't vote on budget items. Is that everybody's understanding? Yeah.
Yes.
Liz Chandran,
Aye.
Mark Williams.
Aye.
Jason Rieger.
Aye.
Aaron Soto.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Brian
Aye.
Stackmaster. Lisa Quinn.
Hi.
Peter Witkowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right, thanks, everyone. Reports, Mr. Witkowski.
Great. So, a lot of you guys have seen updates on new staff through the parent updates. One thing that wasn't included in there is that we did appeal for an additional sped position after the end of the school year, which we then got. We were able to find someone for that position. So now we'll have a total of 8 diverse learner teachers. And fingers crossed, we may actually start the year with all the diverse learner teachers that we need. So we have 3 weeks to go, so I don't want to jinx anything. But we have 3 really good candidates that we're excited to be bringing on board. Mr. Vanderkraven will be doing 7th and 8th grade math. Ms. Katie is actually moving on to another school. And we're filling that position with Mr. Alum, is how you pronounce it. He has actually had a previous career as a financial analyst and became a teacher a few years ago. He's also happens to be algebra certified as well, so that would be helpful in getting 6th graders ready for where they're going down the line. So we're excited about bringing him on board. Mr. Landis, we just saw in the update, he was a professional actor for 15 years, also been teaching the last 2 years at a school, or actually at another art school in West Humboldt Park. Ms. Castro also be joining us. And some of you guys may know Heather Hoffman, Water's parent, that has been subbing. I'm going to be really bummed to not have her as a sub to come in, because it's just like, okay, great. I don't need to worry about that one, but she'll be really a good fit for that 4th grade team. And then we have a couple new SEEKers coming on board as well. And a school assistant position, Angelica Garcia will be helping out in the office. and doing various things throughout the building. And then Alfredo Fredis is going to be our second security guard, who's currently working at a high school. He is about 12 feet tall. And has experience coaching baseball, boxing. So we're looking forward to having him join the team as well.
Heather Hopkins was the fourth or fifth.
Yeah, that's actually a mistake. That's fifth grade.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fifth grade. Sorry. We haven't gotten any guidance on COVID testing for next year, but we'll send up basic. We do not expect to have a care room anymore. And that room is being transformed into kind of more of a student space. There's a Promethean board in now that we were able to get through a grant that Ms. Martin was awarded. There's going to be a carpet in that room, so it'll be much more useful as a space for classes might even be able to have meetings in there, doing different things. Kids maybe just need a break. That's a space that they can use. We'll do the ribbon cutting for the new playground at the back to school bash. The ribbon's back for celebration. That's the internal accounts balance. So you can see we've been spending a lot of money lately. That's all the classroom materials that you see in the hallway, so that we're ready to go. We'll spend those down as much as we can, and then we'll start doing student fees for this year, which will actually go to pay for next year's materials. So in essence, you're kind of paying it forward for the student fees in terms of instructional materials, so we don't have to be dependent on the CPS budget to be able to have those. This is where we sit with enrollment right now. 56 kindergartners that will go up. With some of the other grades, there are probably people that have moved or are moving that haven't told us. People are very excited to tell us when they're coming, but they kind of forget to let us know when they're moving on. But we'll be in good shape in each of those grades.
Where do you think you'll see kindergarten?
Probably 80. Probably about 80.
How many students we had last year? I forget that.
70, yeah, 80. We
No, I
didn't
know how many total students are sorry.
How many total? On the 10th day, we had 597. Ms. Dash, Ms. Rubito, and I got to go to a PD the week before last, which was a lot of good information there. Ms. Martin participated in, there's new fine and performing arts standards for success in CPS, so they asked for administrative feedback. So she went down to the arts department to work with them on that. Those of you that have seen the campus during the summer, it's very busy. We have like 150 kids a day here doing various things. Galileo has expanded to about twice its size from last summer, so that program has been getting bigger. We probably will manage that growth a little bit. Fortunately, some of us just pack it as much as we can because we do want to leave space for our own teachers to run their programs and have other things going on, opportunities for them as well. But the summer's been going great. We have 106 students in just the OST programs. So those are like the summer sports things. Those are like the program that Soto's been doing in the garden. So it's a lively place. That'll start to, quiet down a little bit after next week and kick off to kindergarten, winds down. But it's been fun to have everybody here over the summer. We have two of the six CIWP roundtables have been completed. We'll have another couple this week and some the following week. The parent survey went out. Right now we have about 45 respondents to it. We'll keep pushing it and keep it open until August 4th. The week after that, we're going to try to get our ILT CIWP staff team together to do some wordsmithing to see if we can get just a draft version of those new priorities so that we can share them with people and get feedback on before we have to approve them in September. I will say that that approval date is not like we can't touch it and you're stuck with whatever is on the page at that time. It's more of just a compliance date. We obviously will continue to have conversations about budget and priorities and things like that. Other than that, anybody has any questions?
How was attendance at I know what it was the first one.
Yeah.
How was attendance at the second CIWC
It's not a lot of people, you know, one or two.
Is that zero or is it?
No, there was somebody, yeah. one. Judith did that one, so, yeah, we'll see about tomorrow. I'm gonna send another update tomorrow.
Is anybody signed up for tomorrow?
Yeah, there's people signed up.
Okay.
Yeah, there's people signed
Besides
up.
me.
Besides people. That unfortunately isn't a question I can answer off the top of my head. But, yeah, no, there's, I mean, that is what it is. You know, they gave us the guidance with 12 school days left a year. And
And maybe we can try to do a little more advertising for the meeting survey.
for sure.
When is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the evening one, so that would be 6 o'clock. And then the one Wednesday morning will be at 8:30. Yeah, we try to have an evening option and a morning option for both topics, for all three topics.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is there a possibility that we can tie in with the, not, well, so you know the student council, right? They're trying to approve decisions, but it's gonna be hard to facilitate them throughout the school because it's gonna be hard. No one's really gonna listen to what the student council thinks because, you know, I don't know. People aren't gonna see them as like that big of a deal, at least for the first year of its appearance. So I think, would I be able to report like the most important little tidbits from what happened at the student council meetings to the LSC over here, so that we could talk about them or discuss maybe one or two things throughout the month, right?
Sure, yeah.
I think that's
I don't know the
fantastic.
agenda. But
Yeah.
put them in the reports.
I think you,
I'd
Yeah,
love to,
students-
I'd love to add that as a standing item. If you'd like.
I would.
We have a
like
student
that,
reporter, a student council.
That's one
report.
that promises for our running campaign to have to give students a voice, and I think that the voice would be more powerful if the LSC could get affiliated.
I think that's awesome. Is there anything you'd like to share today?
Nothing currently because there haven't been any major meetings yet where we have discussed anything. So far, we have just been brainstorming how it's going to be formatted. It's not going very fast at the moment, but probably by early September this year, we'll be able to figure it out and start not necessarily making decisions because there's not that much power affiliated with the student council, but start brainstorming things and how we can make the school a better place for not only the students, but everyone in the workplace, not workplace, school. You know,
That sounds fantastic. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great idea. I have another question. I heard the update about the new security guard being hired. Are there any updates about safety and overall culture of the school as it relates to inclusivity, especially training for staff or any new strategies for this year?
We haven't gotten a deck for the BOI PD yet, but that's something we're looking at expanding. One thing that we'd like to add next year is to bring peer conference to Waters. So that's a program that we actually ran at Disney too for several years, where students actually get trained by an outside vendor to sort of mediate low-level peer conflicts. It's a great way to find opportunities for kids that wouldn't necessarily haven't shined in some other areas, and build a capacity within them to help sort of mediate and solve those conflicts, because ultimately they're going to have to be able to do that when they're leaving, right? Like, we can intervene as adults all we want, but by the time a kid is an 8th grader, we want them to be able to sort of manage their own situations a little bit more. It's when some of those things come from another student's voice, they're powerful.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that like they ignore adults totally, but
No,
yeah,
that makes
when
sense.
peers hear it from each other, it has a different weight to it.
What program is that? I'm sorry.
It's called peer conference.
Is that all grade level or just?
Usually it's more like the middle school thing. Yeah, usually it's more like the middle school thing. So we would have the 5th and 6th graders apply. They would just kind of explain situations that maybe what they would do in them or experiences that they had, and then select kids that would be a good fit for the program. And then we would keep them in for 2 years. So if they got in 5th grade, they would stay for 6th to help bring the new batch.
The beginning of year depth you mentioned, is that like a staff training?
Yeah, so
Compliance stuff.
every year staff have to go through, and I'm sure Ms. Soto is about to speak to it, many trainings through the Safe Schools platform. So these are
Amazing.
some of them, are very bland, like their procurement things,
Yeah.
but some are also very important, like protecting students in protected classes.
Thank you.
Do those types of training help?
It would be more helpful if they do this, and this is not to direct it, Mr. Rickhouse, this is directed to the
Yes,
district.
as a whole.
Yeah, which is that they give us the trainings, but they don't give us time to do the trainings. So they have to be done during off-school hours or during our prep times when we're actually doing other stuff, which can be very problematic. And as the union delegate, I always encourage teachers to work on things during work time. So getting around to doing all of the professional development in the time allotted while not being paid for it is very difficult. And it proves to have its own challenges because even when we do get time, because Mr. Rakowski does sometimes he's like, I need you guys to do these trainings. This is the day that you're going to do them. And you sit and you watch them and do that. Just when you think you're done, like they did last year, they
do
keep
last
adding
year,
more.
basically.
You know what I mean? So they're like, hey, you get through your whole, thing that you need to do. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, why haven't you done this training? And it's like, what are you talking about? You go back and you're like, like all of a sudden the backdate or something saying that the training needed to be done like a week ago. And you're just like, what? So there's a lot of that. That's not really on administration. That's more like a district thing.
So it's an asynchronous training.
Yes.
And is there space? It sounds like if there wouldn't be, if time is an issue, there's no space to debrief or make sense of it as a school.
I mean, we meet with administration during our grade level team meetings. And sometimes the things that are in those trainings are discussed, but not always. And some of them are really not things that you would discuss, like procurement is one of them. You really wouldn't have a meeting about how you order things for CPS. You know what I mean? Or these are the things that you need to do for if there's a mercury spill. You're just not.
Some of them seem very random.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
there is literally one for mercury.
There is,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
If we have any.
Yeah.
We're calls to get staff not to take those, including the kitchen staff. And we as well are not allotted time for that. We have to do it on our own time.
Is the content valuable or is it taking?
Well, they're mandated.
Doing
I think the question
I
is-
get the mandate.
There were express discipline issues last year. Is there an expectation that these are helpful in addressing some of the rising discipline issues from last year that were
Exactly.
kind of concerning?
So what I can say, no, I'm gonna say it's not. Speaking frankly, one of the things that the PPC, and I was gonna kind of bring this up, is gonna be working on this year from the get is sort of creating some sort of plan in regards to just having something in place, which I kind of touched base with Mr. Rakowski about this last year, saying that it was a need that needed to be addressed in regards to grade, all across the school. What are the steps that need to be in place? What are the protocols so that, school-wide, we know what they are. And then that way the students know what they are. Hey, if this happens, then this is the next thing, just so that we kind of know that. But because the PBC is a collaborative kind of, and we get input from other teachers in regards to doing stuff. We're kind of working on it from that level to see and get input from teachers so that then we can present it to Mr. Rakowski and then we can tweak it all together. But we can't just be like, hey, come up with something. We're like, hey, here's what the solution that we've come up with kind of help us with that. So that's kind of the plan.
Thank you both.
Any other questions for Mr. Rakowski? Chair report, it's the summary, I don't have much to say. I will say we did sort of officially form 3 committees last time, so I think it would be good for those committees to get together at some point in the next month or two, probably especially principal evaluation to get things rolling. I
You guys
did
want to review with those committees?
that we formed a principal evaluation committee, a budget committee, and a CIWP committee. And I don't have the list of who volunteered for each one in front of me, but it's in the minutes from last time. I did make a couple of adjustments to the standing agenda, just to call them out. I struck the committees that we didn't choose to form this year, so the Arts Committee and the Facilities Committee. And I added a standing item for Waters Today, and I'll talk more about that when we get to that point. And we'll be adding a standing item for student update. I think it's a great idea. And that's all I have. Kristen, principal evaluation or?
Just coming soon in the next week, plans to gather in September to kick things off.
And we have a budget committee update. Assuming no.
And then, yeah. No.
You know, we'll have to see how things actually shake out with the personnel transactions and then also where we can announce. So the 10th day is where they set the budget for the current year, and the 20th day is what they use for the projection for the next year.
So you might have some adjustments in September.
Yeah.
Okay. CIWP, Mr. Rakowski.
You can check.
I know I already covered that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a bit of a comment to make about the student council. So the student council's main job is to relay students like what they want, right? Through, I don't know, maybe like a Google form or something. Would that be too much to ask for like the younger students if like a teacher could help them like fill out a Google form? To be like,
I think we could work that out. I think
well, let's
maybe
work
we
that out.
could sit down with Miss Lily and figure out something.
Okay.
that works.
Like something like that. Relay it back to the student council. But I want to make sure that every student is like equally represented from like 8th grade to 1st grade, you know, something like that. Because to me, every single student goes to the school and should have a fair say in what happens here, no matter who they are in the school. So when I relay stuff from the student council, I think I'm gonna go over the stuff with should I go over the stuff with the council before I relay it here?
I think that would be a good idea.
So I don't just come up here with a laptop and be like, so this student wants portions for food 3 times larger than what they had before. Because yeah.
That is all I
Jack, one thing I do want to note, maybe half joking, maybe more than half joking. So your point from earlier about how the student council doesn't have that much power, and the LSC doesn't have that much power either.
That's true.
But this is a great forum to bring up issues and talk to people. So we are happy to hear everything that is all student concerns and anything that.
Yeah.
Discuss with student council.
The LS's job is to just like represent the community in a group, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't vote on the lunch portions, unfortunately.
Well, of course not. I was making a joke.
I know, I am good. But yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
I mean, essentially what you're doing is you're creating like a summary of whatever's happened at the
Yes.
student council
Yeah.
meeting. You know, like it's not gonna be the whole meeting. It's
No,
just
like
a
2 or
summary.
3 statements.
Yeah.
Like
I think
That's
that's fantastic.
paragraph.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, perfect.
I think that would be great. We haven't really had a direct, that kind of direct student voice, so that's great.
And ultimately, that will help us advise on other topics, even if they might not feel so directly related when we're thinking about principal eval or reviewing budget items. Like, I feel like
spending.
that all
yeah.
provides helpful context.
Absolutely.
Yes, and the students, like, they have a variety of things to say, like from, like, whether, like, another student or another staff member is making them feel unsafe about something, or whether, like, something in the school is just making them feel uncomfortable. To me, it's about their safety, combination about their safety and how comfortable they are learning in this area.
Jeff, if there's any questions regarding the kitchen, feel free. Don't have a chat with me,
If there's
just so that you
anything,
can give them the answer and why it's
oh, of
happening.
course. I mean, nothing unrealistic. If it's unrealistic, I'll send them an email. Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna be able to,
I'm just letting you know if there's ever a question.
thank you.
So,
Thank you very much, Jack. Okay, so we were on budget and we were moving on to CIWP. Mr. Kowski, you already kind of covered that. I'd love to come up with a way to get more people to get involved in these things. You know how many people responded to the survey at this point?
Yeah, that was about 45.
Not bad.
Started Mark.
Yeah.
Have nothing.
I haven't done it yet, so that, you know, that's good. That's good. And then what would you like to do in terms of discussions with LSC committee that is to participate?
Yeah, I mean, I
wait a
think,
little bit until you've had your conversations in August.
yeah, I mean, I think if people can make the roundtables, that's very helpful. You know, and then once we have a little bit more of a meat, you know, kind of a base, like draft version of what the priorities are. I mean, they're not going to be like crazy different from what they've been in the past. You know, kids still need to learn how to read and read math, and bilingual students need support. Like all of these things are kind of the same. So, you know, once we have something that's a little bit easier to give actual feedback on, then I think that would be good. But we will need to approve it in September.
PPLC, Ms. Soto, do you have anything there? I know Ms. Dallas was planning to get started in August.
Yeah, she wants to get started, but right now she's out of town, so
Yep.
nothing's gonna be happening.
Okay. BAC, do you have anything, Mr. Kowski, yet? We're hoping to ramp that up more this year. And water today, so I did add a standing water today, and I spoke with, I met with Lucy Hannah, who is going to be the president of Waters Today this upcoming year, just to invite them to participate more with the LSC. So they're planning to send a representative to most meetings that they weren't able to today. But basically the goals for this year are kind of more the same. Obviously, we want to raise money. And I think the 3 points that she mentioned to me to relay is looking to make sure we have good transparency and clarity and just like a good back and forth conversation about the fundraising and what we're spending money on. Because that makes it easier to advertise. That makes it easier to get people to raise money if they know what it's going for, if they have an idea of what we're spending it on. And trying to improve communication, as always, try to get more people involved. It's been kind of a struggle to get volunteers post-COVID, so trying to really engage more through room parents, things like that. It's one of their initiatives this year. And like we just mentioned with BAC, to try to integrate that community more and work with BAC more closely. And that concludes our reports. Any questions about anything? Okay. Public comment. I'd like to thank all of you who attended. This is our best attendance in months, literally. So.
And you're all over the age of 12.
I know. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to make today?
Just quick little, what are we doing to meet the teacher on Friday the 18th?
Yep.
Morning, 8:30ish, or we know.
There's
Depends on
a-
the grade, yeah.
Okay.
One question, I don't know if it's still up, but I heard that there were migrant families in house in the church, and I had heard the possibility that their children would be attending here. Is that still?
I can speak to that. I've been helping, I go to that church, and so I've been helping, but they were enrolled and they started the last week of school.
They've actually been able to take part in some of the summer programs going on here too. So one of the reasons we got them enrolled at the end of the year is because they needed to be water students to be able to participate in those OST programs. So they've done some of the Katie programming. Both the children and the parents have been able to take advantage. So, but we'll see when the school year starts, how permanent it's going to be.
Will there be more opportunity for us to talk
For sure. Yeah. I think that's going to be a big part of, also having a full-time bilingual coordinator. It's going to be a good group of us.
Anything else? Ms. Soto?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
All good?
Alright.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
6:09. We're done. Thank you.
What is the room?
Whichever was the second.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, is
Thank
it? Oh, no. Oh, okay. This is.
So I'm a little concerned about.
Do you want me to set up?
No, this is.
It is, but it's really loud.
I never really got this last part, but Martin's and Jack, I don't need them, right?
We won't be able to. If he, like, students in CPS email addresses only stay within.
That's what I thought, okay, so you will forward it, that's it.
Yeah, I'll forward it.
Okay,
And then there's some one page which has all the stuff that he can. and can't.
Yeah.
So I'll do that.
Okay, great.
Stop recording.
I asked him.